Hi guys, my name's Campbell and this is Spiral Up channel, where we talk about practical things we can do and use in our everyday lives to improve our outcomes and experiences. And today I wanted to talk about other people and their effects on us and our mental state and our energy as well. And especially in this time with so many differing viewpoints going around, I thought we'd have a bit of a chat about how to deal with some of these people. So let's get into it. Okay, so again, we all know where we are. The world is changing very quickly. It's very strange. And what's happening is there are lots of different viewpoints appearing. And these are very strong viewpoints because they're linked to us emotionally. And we know that the mainstream media is basically a propaganda arm. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just look into Project Mockingbird. But it is it's an industry, so it's a for money industry. It's, the news has ads in it that make money. So it's there to make money. It's not there to provide us with information. It's there to get ratings. And so it's not a trustworthy news source. And this has been coming out more and more lately. So we have these very polarized viewpoints, and with the MSN, they link things to us emotionally. They get us emotionally attached to things. And this obviously makes people fight for their beliefs a lot more. And so we have all these two sides appearing: the sort of the people who are believing what's being told by politicians and the mainstream media, and those who are questioning that and listening to alternative sources of information. And at the moment, this is polarizing, and it's affecting a lot of people, and it's affecting a lot of people's relationships, with their friends and families. And it's becoming a problem because at this point in time, the last thing we need is more division. So how do you deal with this? How do you deal with people that, want to either push their viewpoints on you or want to denigrate your viewpoints? Basically, how do you avoid the conflict and the resulting, feelings that come from that conflict over viewpoints? So the way I do it, and I've worked on this for years and years, so it's fairly automatic, but what you do is, and this is a sort of, it's a mental and spiritual construct. So you do this in your mind. You make layers over your body, and they're shields. What they are, they're shields. And so if you can see your body, yourself, surrounded by a shield, of light, whatever that light may look like, or whatever form is fine, whatever your mind is telling you is correct for you. So a shield. And if you're old like me, you may have seen Get Smart back in the day, where they had the cone of silence. It's that kind of a thing, like a shield that comes down over you. And then what you want to do is make multi-levels. So the way that this works is, we have these shields around us, and when we speak to people, they only get let in so far. So you may have, say, let's start with 3 shields, and the outermost one is easiest to get through, and then the inner one is hard to get through. So the inner shield, the people that can get through that easily are the people that you love and trust, your immediate family, the people that you have the deepest connections with, the people who would never do anything to harm you, that you can trust. They're the people that you let in, and they're the belief systems and the opinions that you let in to consider, and that you take a lot more to heart, as we say. Because you've built up relationships with these people, so you can trust them. Then we have another layer, and this other layer is also made up of people that we know very well and have good relationships with, but these people aren't necessarily synced up with our viewpoint of the world, with our perspective of the world. And so these people, because they see the world differently, they may want to, try and influence us to their way of thinking. They may have different points of view that we don't want to let in necessarily. So these people only get to the second barrier. And you consider what they say, and people can move up and down and all this kind of stuff, but it just means if one of these people says something to you, it doesn't go to your heart. You don't take it to heart. It stops out here. And then of course beyond that, this is just simple 3 layers. You can go more, 5 or 6 is good. But like just start simply and build these up. And then the outer layer is people that you don't know. Okay, and those people don't get in. So if you don't know someone and they abuse you or say something silly or say something about, that offends your perspective or whatever, if you don't let them in at all into your perspective, into your mind and your psyche, then they have no effect. So you cannot get offended. And this is the thing, if you're strong in your belief system and who you are and you know who you are, people can't offend you because you understand that they're supposed to have their perspective. They are doing the right thing for them. They are where they're supposed to be, just as you are where you're supposed to be, but we're not all supposed to be in the same spot. Okay, because space can only contain one thing at the same time. Space can't even hold 2 opposing thoughts at the same time. And this is the problem. Everyone's trying to get their thoughts into other people, and they're trying to get 2 opposing thoughts into one space, which can't happen. It can't exist. Okay, because like a space is a singularity. It's an individual. It's a oneness. So it can't have opposing thought forms in it. Obviously, different forces. If we're talking magnetics, but the point is, people that you don't know don't have a right to come and invade your mind and your thoughts. They don't have a right to make you feel bad, but it's up to you to build the defenses. There's a saying from Jim Rohn, and he said, every day, stand guard at the door of your mind. And that is so true. You should, because your mind is sacred. It's you. Your mind is yours. The mind is a thing that no one else can ever get into. No one else can experience like you, because it's you. Okay, so you can't let people in and invade that and trying to occupy the space that you're occupying. Okay, this is where we need our defenses. And so, like I said, you have an outer defense. So if you're walking down the street, you don't know people, they can say whatever, but it just bounces off. You can talk to them and that, and they may end up being good people if they're saying nice things, and they can work their way in. But if it's anything negative, it shouldn't affect you at all. It should just bounce off. And then, like I said, you have layers of people that and it's really based on trust, on how far you want to let these people into your mind is what it is. How far you want their beliefs and perspective to be allowed in to you. So this is how we protect ourselves. So in a scenario, if you're talking about about what's going on today, I've got to be careful with my words because YouTube are heavily censoring. And just on that, I'm going to be moving this channel across to brand YouTube as well, so I'll leave links below. Come across that way, I don't have to self-censor, and I can kind of speak my mind a lot more and get my a more concise, focused message across to you guys. But so how this works at the moment in the situation we find ourselves in is, if someone doesn't believe the perspective you hold on what's happening, and they say, oh, you're an idiot, blah, 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 for believing this, because whatever, you're holding a sign or something. If you don't know that person, that's like, yeah, no, cool, no worries. It shouldn't affect you. You shouldn't be triggered. The only people that get offended and triggered are those who let that straight into their heart, and they're like, how dare you? The how dare you should be you. How dare you let someone in? You've got to stand guard at the door of your mind. But if it's someone that you know and trust, and they have the opposite perspective, then have a conversation. See where their perspective is. Let them. They get to go in further because you've got a relationship and you've got trust built up, and you know what kind of person they are. And then, of course, you have the people who everything that comes out of their mouth, they're trying to help you. Of course, you need to understand that everyone can only see their perspective. So no one can tell you what's best for you, because no one is you. Only you do that. But there are people who want the best for you, and so there's still a lot of truth in there. And so you want to let that perspective in and take it fully in. And this is how we do it. We just have shields, borders, where people come and they get stopped, depending on who they are. And that way, people that are just abusive and offensive, that just bounces off you. You don't let them in. And then, people who you know more, even if they are, hurtful in what they say, or they're, argumentative, how you should treat them, and how much credence you should put in their perspective. And this is all based on things like, have they even researched? And this is how we know how to let people in. If people are just running on opinion and they don't research anything, and everything that comes out of them is just opinion and hearsay, then you know that not to let them in. You might have a good relationship, whatever, playing sport with them, but as far as when it comes to talking about real things, they don't get let in. They stop here, because that whatever they're saying is crap. And then you have the people that are more well-researched, who look into stuff. And then you have the researchers who have really got into stuff and really thought about it. And so everything they say, you take on board as something worth your time and worth you thinking about. And it may change your perspective, it may not. And this is the thing, we need to understand that this world, like we are all one. Yes, we are all fractals of the one, but we're all individuals, individuals, the atoms, that the undivisible, indivisible, that's what we are as a self down here. And so everyone has to have their own perspective. This whole trying to get people to believe what you believe, and this is, in my perspective, this is the problem of the world. This is it. That's it. People trying to get other people to believe as they do. That's it. That's the problem. Right there. That's the cause of war. Everything. Slavery, crime, all this stuff, all the bad stuff. It's all people and power, obviously. Rulers, conquerors. It's all people trying to get you to believe what they believe. And if you don't, well, we say what happens. So approach life, this is my perspective, just an opinion, is a good way to approach life is to stand in your power, know who you are. First and foremost, that is the most important. You have to know who you are. And then you have to know who is around you and who you trust. Who is, and we have this in our language, who is your inner circle. Okay, who gets to come into the inner circle, in past the last gate. And then we have circles going out. And if you can see life like that, and this is, I've said this before, they tell us not to judge, but you need to judge. You need to judge people, because if you don't, you'll end up surrounded by people that you can't trust. But you need to judge people on who they are. Don't judge a book by its cover is very good. You shouldn't judge anything by the way it looks. It should be judged on the content, because that's where the value is. The value is not on the outside. It's not in the front and the back. The value is always in the middle. Okay, it's not at the opposite ends. It's the middle that's important. So I think I've skewed my message a bit, but I hope it made sense. So this is all about, standing in your power, understanding who you are, and then understanding those around you that are similar to you. Who's part of your tribe, who's on your side really. When it gets down to it, when the going gets tough, who's going to stay and who's going to get going? Because the ones that are going to stay are the ones that you're going to give the most access to you to. And of course, this happens a lot in relationships. And you should do this in relationships as well. Take it slowly, let people in slowly. So many people open up and let people in to their heart, just to get it ripped out, as we've heard from all these love ballads, these sad songs. They say so much. So there you go, guys. Stand in your power. Understand that everyone has their own perspective, and they're allowed that, and they should have that. And it's good that it's different to yours, because then we can converse, we can learn. But you also need to be very aware of who you're letting in and what opinions you're letting in to try and occupy the space that is you. Because two opposing viewpoints, they can't exist in one space peacefully, in harmony. That's what causes the confusion and the mind and the incessant self-talk. It's the two wolves fighting for that space. All right, guys, I hope that helped. I hope you got something from that. Please leave me a comment below, a like, subscribe, and share this content if you find it valuable and it will help other people. Thanks for spending some time with me. I do appreciate it. Have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye for now.